Hello, welcome to HBM's UFO Corner, where this week we cover the Phoenix Lights. Very famous or perhaps infamous case in UFO history. I'm surprised I haven't covered it yet, but I'm covering it now. The full story of the Phoenix Lights UFO that shook us. Ever since the Phoenix Lights hovered over Arizona for 3 hours one night in 1997, witnesses have been left wondering whether they saw an otherworldly event or a massive hoax. A recreation of the V-shaped craft seen during the Phoenix Lights incident of 1997. The sun had just set on March 13, 1997, when hundreds of people across Nevada, Arizona, and Mexico witnessed a collection of UFOs puncture the night sky. The phenomenon has become known as the Phoenix Lights. Its authenticity has been hotly debated ever since. From 7:30 until approximately 10:30 p.m., dozens of concerned citizens flooded their local police department phone lines with urgent calls for clarity. They reported floating orbs in a V-shaped craft the size of several football fields hovering above the city of Phoenix. While the glowing orbs remained stationary, the V-shaped object hovered south. But even though pilots in the Phoenix area notified air traffic controllers of what they were seeing, none of them saw anything out of the ordinary on their radars. Then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the Phoenix Lights went out. Government officials later claimed these orbs were nothing more than flares deployed as part of a military training exercise. The V-shaped craft was explained away as a series of planes flying in formation. Then Arizona Governor Fife Symington initially mocked the statewide concerns, but later revealed that he too had seen the enormous objects and felt they were not of this world. Here's a video. Now, does that look like a form of flying of planes? Does that look like planes in formation to you? It doesn't to me. I think it's kind of a ridiculous assertion to say that, too. And then what's this over here? What is that? And that's the end of that. Here's an eyewitness.
The latest chapter into a strange valley encounter.
3 months ago tonight, something strange happened in the skies over Arizona that still hasn't been fully explained. And in reality, we may never know exactly what happened that night. Tonight, first on Fox, we hear from a Phoenix family who may have been closer to whatever it was in the sky, closer than anyone else.
It's getting closer and closer, and we're saying, you know, that thing's coming right at us.
Tim Lee and his family are among the hundreds of witnesses who've come forward to talk about the night of March 13th, an event now known as the Phoenix Lights. The Lees first saw the lights while looking north from their home in the Sunny Slope Mountains.
When it finally got here and we realized this thing was coming right over us, we really started getting antsy. And then when it went directly overhead without a sound, it was like that. It was so big.
You couldn't even hear the wind. It was so quiet. It was just, it just didn't even do anything. It just came through.
These images of what they saw are made on a computer. They're a combination of digital photos of the landscape taken by Lee and computer drawings of the objects his family saw in the sky.
It was a giant V, all right? And the right side of the V went over us. The left side was like a couple blocks over it.
You just didn't know what to do. You know, it was just like, my God, how big is this thing? It didn't seem threatening because when it was right overhead and we couldn't hear a sound, it was like you're just awestruck.
Jim Delatoso has been researching UFOs for 20 years. Right now, he's in the middle of putting together a virtual reality model of what happened that night. He's talked to hundreds of witnesses about the night of March 13th, including the Lees.
He thinks that he said if he had a tennis ball, he could have hit it. He could have thrown a tennis ball at it. It was that close.
It was very close. He just could have nailed it.
I consider Tim Lee and his family to be very reliable and very important in the data that they've given us because they were so close that they could look up and, as they said, almost touch it.
The last light went right over my wife and I, and there was no light on the ground. But I could see up inside that it was almost like a recess, and it had fluorescent like light inside, like a gas light of some kind.
You could see right through the middle of it, but it was like looking through two-way glass, like through a mirage that you see on the highway or something, or just when it's real hot. Right there, you can see through, but there was no light coming back or anything like that. It was just really weird.
This is the first time in the series of reports of that night that someone said that they looked up and saw a structured object.
As it went over, it went straight like through this V right there, over that guy's house.
It took about 15 minutes to get from when we first saw it all the way till we couldn't saw it.
No one knows for sure what happened that night in the skies over Arizona in March, but thousands of people saw something. It's a night the Lees will never forget.
We just re-experience it every time we tell it. You know, it's like it was just yesterday. You know, we've just never seen anything like it. I
was always a very polite skeptic. I would never tell someone, if they told me they saw something, I would never say, you're a liar or anything like that, because I don't know. But now I don't know what to think, because this is impossible. Bring up the eerie music, please. This is weird stuff. Jim Delatoso, the UFO expert in that story, says the Phoenix Lights event in March is being talked about now all over the world, and he says he wouldn't be surprised if in the future the curious will flock to Arizona looking for something.
So 27 years on, and this event has been one of the most famous, or as I said, infamous in UFO history. Now here's an interview with Governor Simonton and footage of the 1997 press conference. I'm not going to play that. And you had someone dressed up like an alien. Here's another witness.
12 News at 10, back with a story that's baffled people in Phoenix for more than 2 decades. If there were iPhones or Twitter back in 1997, the Phoenix lights would have been trending for weeks. It's a huge story back then and continues to raise eyebrows today as the focal point of a list of documentaries and books. This Wednesday marks the 22nd anniversary of the lights that were described as everything from extraterrestrial visitors to flare and secret government aircraft, even a hoax. Team 12's Tricia Hendricks spoke with a woman who witnessed and documented the Phoenix lights.
People were seeing these lights that either seemed to be attached to something or had a force field in between, because when they looked up, they blocked out the stars in between the lights.
Dr. Lynn Kitai reflecting on what she saw back on March 13th, 1997. A string of lights shaped in a V hovering above the valley skies.
Going through my mind, I was thinking, who are you? What are you? Do you know that I'm here? I'd love to meet you.
For more than 2 decades now, countless explanations and claims have surfaced surrounding what she saw.
I got it on 35mm film. This is in the negative. It cannot be denied or to date, 22 years later, be explained. We're talking totally silent at rooftop level. People watched these phenomena just glide right over their heads.
Authorities have said the lights were flares used by the Air National Guard, but many still believe this was a signal from another life form.
I saw these things up close and personal. They were not flares.
The lights in the sky still a mystery to many.
Some people can't deal with this topic. Some people don't want to, and that's okay.
Lynn's mission is clear. She wants to make sure the world doesn't forget the Phoenix Lights. She even wrote a book, The Phoenix Lights, and produced an award-winning documentary of her sighting of floating orbs.
People can make up their own mind. I'm not saying what these are. People that have an experience, a true paranormal experience. It's not a belief, it's a knowing. And as I tell everyone else, keep looking up.
If you'd like to watch the Phoenix Lights documentary, a special screening will take place on March 17th at the Harkin Shea Theater. In Scottsdale, Tricia Hendricks, 12 News.
Very good stuff. Interesting. Well, I don't suppose we will ever know exactly what the Phoenix Lights were, other than a strange phenomenon, or possibly planes flying in formation, which doesn't seem like a plausible explanation to me. This former Air Force pilot claims that that's what it was, a group of A-10 airplanes flying in formation, with flares creating the disparate orbs or fireballs some reported. Again, we really don't know for sure. But it's a fascinating mystery, and one that I think will continue on as the history of UFO sightings continues to go on. And that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank you for tuning in. You guys are the heart of the show. And I believe, I think I may have found my next topic, the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident. That's going to be for next time, for 2 weeks from now. So until then, y'all be good or be good at. This is May-HBM's UFO Corner.